told you? Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? You what? God design.
What's going on? Hello, everyone. What's up, my friends? We back with another episode. We live. And today we're going to be discussing line breeding, inbreeding, outcrossing, how we select our males. It's a very important episode because we went out and found a new dog that we're really interested in. And we're going to show everyone what we base our selections off of, a little bit what goes into our calculations to determine if a dog is valuable for our breeding program, if we're interested. So I found a really exciting dog. I had to go see him myself. I investigated his pedigree. The pedigree is remarkably diverse. We thought the dog had some incredible merit. So I wanted to get into that. For anybody that's aspiring to be a breeder, this is some valuable information. When I first came into the Boerboel breed, this was one of my biggest questions that I had. Having experience with plants, having experience with other animals, I know that they tend to use line breeding and inbreeding to determine value amongst breeding stock. And the way that they're measuring that, though, this goes all the way back to Mendel, the father of genetics. The way that they're measuring which parentage or lineage has valuable is based off of its production. And we're going to get into why that this doesn't apply exactly to purebred dog breedings and performance dog breedings, breeding dogs that's selected for performance. So it has some merit, and we're going to get straight into it. First thing I want to show you is this dog that we've been researching. We're very interested in. This dog is related to our boy Alpha, and he is Alpha's uncle. Alpha, I don't know if anybody remember, I'll show you a picture. That's Alpha. That's our boy Alpha, RIP Alpha. He was extremely muscular, well built. You notice that he had incredible muscling. We've been chasing this bloodline. We've been interested in this dog for a while. Alpha was, we thought, would be the leader of the new generation. We had big expectations for Alpha. He was incredibly beautiful, had big bones. Unfortunately, he didn't pass the test. He could not perform, and as a result, we're not using him in our breeding program. It's really unfortunate. It hurt a lot. That was one of my favorite dogs. I actually thought that Alpha would be more important to our program than Outlaw. Outlaw is an extremely large dog. Personally, I know that my preference is for the dog that is capable of running incredibly long distances. Not even incredibly long distances, but that is my way of evaluating a dog's wellness. When I know a dog has to be fit and healthy in order to perform such a feat. It's one of the ways that they evaluate working police dogs. And a Boerboel historically has been a dog that accompanied the farmer alongside their day-to-day routine and chores. And that would be the farmer would be on horseback, and the dog would be accompanying the farmer on foot. And this would be done over a plantation. We're talking about hundreds to thousands of acres, several miles in a day, several kilometers in a day. This, if we're not actively selecting for these qualities, is going to be lost in our breed. And with the Boerboel being one of the most athletic breeds, one of the most healthiest breeds, partially due to the result of their athleticism and health or fitness. In order to be able to run incredibly long distances, you got to have a healthy heart. You can't do that with bad hips. You can't run incredibly long distances with bad joints, with bad eyes. And it's just one of the ways that we are measuring our breeding stock. Traditionally, show bred dogs or standardized bred dogs or purebred dogs are being selected based off of desired physical attributes. We're breeding dogs in a closed gene pool, and we're using the science of Mendel, the base of his genetics experiments, as our foundation for this research or for this practice. The reason that this is, so let's go into what is line breeding, inbreeding, and crossbreeding, and how do they relate to the Boerboel breed. Line breeding is related breeding dogs that are distantly related or have a shared common ancestor. So that could be a great granddaughter bred to a cousin or of a common relative. When you get into inbreeding, that would be a direct relative. So, for example, father over the daughter. And I know that it sounds crazy. A lot of people would question, I would never do that. Well, it does have its applications. When we speaking of plants, you would do this in hopes of creating, let's say we were breeding corn. We're planting corn, we're farmers and we're growing corn. We would select a plant that has the largest yield. We may breed that to a corn variety that has a better taste in hopes of producing a larger yielding plant corn with a better taste. We're going to select seeds or plants that exhibit those traits of better yield and better taste. Those are measurable values. We can look and we can weigh a piece of corn and say this corn is heavier than this corn. We need to use the seeds off of this corn. Or if we're growing milk cows, we can say, well, we're trying to produce a variety of cows that are strictly for milk. And that's why we have Holsteins versus the brown cows. The Holstein cows have been selected based off their ability to produce milk, and the higher value cows produce more milk. So we have a measurable, a quantitative value that we can say, because we are using this cow, we're able to get more milk. And then we have these outputs that we're able to say, this cow is our preferred breeding cow. He's known to produce more cows like himself or herself. When you get into purebred dog breeding, well, let me go back a little bit. A cow that was unhealthy, a cow that did not produce milk, or the corn that did not produce corn or heavier yield, have no value. Therefore, those would not be the selected. Those specimens that collected the inferior genes or inheritable defects that cause plants to suffer or cause livestock to not last to breeding, those would not be bred. And it's not just because of how they look. We're basing it off of their ability to produce. So we apply that same practice to purebred dog breeding. It's a little bit different. Purebred dogs have been selected based off of desired traits that they, let's say, longer leg, thicker bone, bigger head, tail set, top line, muscling. All of those different aspects are visual components of the dog, and they really are not fair to measure a dog strictly based on that, because you have these inherited defects, or it's not fair to, let's say, line breed a dog specifically based on that without taking into consideration the health of the animal, the ability to function of the animal. When you're just breeding dogs to produce puppies based off the way that they look, when you're inbreeding or line breeding dogs based off the way that they look, the result is you're going to pass on some undesired characteristics that you may not be visually apparent. So that was one of my biggest questions. I know in other purebred dogs, for example, collies, the best collies or the champion collies, or let's say hunting dogs, the best hunting dogs have the best nose or have the best sight. So purebred dogs, we got to really think, we got to really analyze, are we doing this the right way? The standardized purebred dog breeding, is it effective? And what are the results of it? My biggest question was, with a small gene pool, how do we avoid defects and deficiencies? What is being done in the Boerboel breeder? What is the elder or senior breeders that came before me? What were their habits or practices? And what were their tendencies? How did they produce the dog that I felt was appealing? So we'll get straight into it. We already showed you Alpha. The new dog that I was evaluating, his name is Kingstonian Dexter. And this is Alpha's uncle. And I did analysis of his, he's also the first cousin to Doughboy. So I want everyone to see this dog and kind of get a feel for what we desire in our breeding program. And every breeding program should have a goal. It should be beyond just a certain look. I mean, the Boerboels are all, any good Boerboel should have common features: big, strong, imposing, muscular, a dog that gives you the impression of strength. The problem is, not all the Boerboels are not going to do that. Sometimes we're selecting the Boerboels based off of the pedigree alone, a popular sire. And I think that may be something that could be leading the breed down to destruction. My philosophy is diverse pedigrees. I would rather have a large number of dogs that I feel have merit than any breeding toward one particular ancestor. And originally, we employed the line breeding because we were setting our type. We feel that we have achieved what we wanted to. We have been able to consistently produce a certain style and look of dog that is healthy, that is functional, that is athletic. So now that we have our type set, we need to explore. And that's why you see us going out, looking at the best dogs, what we feel are in the country. Because it's about breeding the best dogs to the best dogs in hopes of producing better dogs. So I'm gonna show you the next dog that I want you to take a look at. Is Alpha's dad. That is Black Bottoms or Robust Kwame, and he is out of Mighty Mott and KS Sierra. I really like this dog. I've never seen him in a bad picture. He got a great chest, a good top line. I visited him in person. He got a great temperament. He's also very protective, but he knows when to turn it on and turn it off. We also have, this is the dog that I'm speaking of, Kingstonian Dexter. I really love this dog. I saw this dog as a puppy. I saw his mom when she first came over. His mom is the full sister to Kwame and Robust Nova. This dog got an incredibly impressive front end. The bone is there. The muscular, this is his natural physique. And it's very impressive. Remember that I'm seeking out a muscular dog that is capable and athletic. So moving on to his father, Seawolf. Another very impressive dog. I don't know what the dog's daily routine is. Is he a bodybuilding? Is he lifting weights? Is he pulling? But the physique looks impressive. He looks capable. His full brother is Tigerberg Dubai. Another impressive Boerboel. I feel like this is Doughboy's father. And he also is very well-rounded, complete. Take a look at his back end. Straight across the top. The dog looks very functional, not overdone, not excessively large. You know we love Doughboy. So I'm taking into consideration, these are direct uncles to the dog, Kingstonian Dexter. Based off the way that the dog looks, I know that he's not overly large, but he's balanced. He's not going to be he's not that 230-pound dog, and that's fine. That is not the biggest determining factor of value. I had to go see this dog in person to see his athleticism. The movement, very impressive. I mean, he's like super light on his feet. See if I can show you a video of him running around a little bit. But I feel like he's one of the best dogs in terms of balance, front to the back, his athleticism, head, all of these different factors. Say, I'm gonna add this video. I'll show you this video. The dog moved really well. Well, yeah, so when you factor all of that in, his history, the dogs that are in his direct relatives, their ability to produce, they got proven track records, healthy offsprings that are functional and capable of reproducing on their own. I feel like we got a winner. I know for a fact that Seawolf is a natural breeder. That's the dog's direct father. I know for a fact that Dubai is a natural breeder. That's also his father. Taking a look at the specimens and the previous offspring, they're very good representatives of the breed. After we evaluate the visual appeal, now it's time to take a look at the dog in person. We want to get a feel for his temperament. How does he respond to strangers? How does is he aloof? Is he suspicious? We're going to take all of those things into consideration and then put them together and measure the dog up versus other stud dogs that we've seen. And I'd like to know how y'all feel about the dog. In my opinion, he's a high quality specimen of the breed. He's the type of dog that I would like to take for a nice run. I also would like to test his stamina out. I want to see, how does he respond to a female that's in heat? How high is his energy? How intense is his drive to breed? If we do not continue to select stud dogs, or we only use stud dogs that we have to collect from artificial insemination, we're going to lose out on breeding, natural dogs breeding naturally. Dogs breeding naturally. It's happened already in other species that we've used. For example, the Cottonix quail. Cottonix quail do not do not brood on the top of the eggs. They have to be incubated. I could go with these other species of livestock that are only able to reproduce with the intervention of humans. So if you see a lot of the reproductive difficulties that you hear breeders talking about, they're doing a lot of testing, progesterone testing. The dogs don't have the natural desire to mate. The dogs don't know when to mate, so they have to rely on the progesterone testing. The dogs are too large to mate because they can't seem to line up with the female. The dogs don't have enough stamina to mate because of their size, their organs, their heart, they expire prematurely. They're just not able to, they get too tired and they give up. So I need to see the dog's energy. I went and checked the dog out. Based off of what I can see, he's definitely qualifies for many reasons. It's important that we are able to maintain balance within the breed. So I just want to go real quick through these dogs. One of my first dogs, Alpha, Dubai, Seawolf, Kwame, Dexter. He fits in definitely with the look. Now, after we breed the dog, our job as a breeder is to make selections based off of what we desire in our next generation. It's not just about a big head. We want to maintain, this is supposed to be one of the healthiest breeds. We're hearing a lot about dogs dying early. I'm hearing, well, not a lot, but more occurrences and instances of dogs suffering from heart defects, heat strokes, cancers, right? We don't want the South African Boerboel to go the direction of the Doggy D Bordeaux, another dog breed, purebred, that was historically a working dog, a formidable opponent, a war dog. If you look at the modern Doggy D Bordeaux or French Mastiff, it's not a breed that's capable of working. They have an incredibly short lifespan. Many of the mothers are given C-sections. A lot of the males are requiring artificial inseminations before they're able to breed. This is not the path that we want to go for the Boerboel. We want the Boerboel to remain fit, functional, healthy. This is what makes the breed appealing to me. One of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with is the loss of a dog. I mean, and it's never going to get easier. It's one of the worst things about a dog. It's probably the only bad thing that I could think of when you're talking about dogs, the fact that they don't live as long as us. It's kind of like the Star Trek with the Klingons and the Klingons love humans and they just like humans, but the only problem with humans is we got a shorter lifespan than the Klingons live like 200-300 years. And that's the roughest part. So when you get a dog, we want you to be able to enjoy the dog for at least a decade. I mean, that's a reasonable expectations. One of the things that we most proud of is the fact that people write to us, they tell us about, 10 years from now or 8, 9 years, the dog is still active, the dog is still mobile, the dog is still functioning, living a great life. Those are the type of stories that uplift us and make us want to continue doing what we're doing. These are the kind of that reinforce our decision making. When a person tells us they had their dog over 10 years, we feel like it's a victory. When we see the dog running and moving like a young dog, it's a championship. These are the things that are rewarding for us. I mean, I'm overwhelmed when I hear a story like that. And it's very humbling. And the opposite, when I see a story of a dog that have expired prematurely, it's heartbreaking. I feel for the owner. I know that they love the dog. I mean, I that's one of the reasons that I have multiple dogs. I don't ever want to be without a dog. I haven't been without a dog since I don't know when I had not have a dog, since maybe I was 12. But it really impacts me in a positive way. People that suffering from depression, you can always depend on your dog for emotional support. The dog will know when you're sad. The dog is not going to judge you. The dog is going to keep you out of trouble if you run the streets. You go home to, one of the safest activities that you can do is take your dog for a walk. Even during the pandemic, when people were going crazy, they were still taking their dogs. They were still taking the dogs for the walk. When we was on lockdown, one of the essentials was the pet store. So with that being said, the companionship factor is huge, and to lose such a, it's like losing a person, the loss of a person. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So therefore, we try to select dogs from a diverse pedigree. In my experience, and if you go through the dogs that I was showing that I had attracted me to the breed originally, they were all coming from diverse pedigrees, not linebred or inbred on one particular ancestor, not occurrences of repeated this common ancestor several times in the pedigree. We already coming from a very limited gene pool, so that is something that we definitely need to consider. A lot of the Boerboels are already going to be related. We don't need to keep compounding the genetics. So appreciate y'all for joining. We're going to get more intense and involved with the episodes. This is it for today. Don't forget to tune into our website, our YouTube, our Instagram, and Facebook. If anybody got questions, we got some comments. We do natural births most of the time. Well, I appreciate everybody that took some time out. I hope this episode was informative. I hope that everybody was able to walk away with something. I appreciate y'all for joining. If y'all got suggestions, comments, please leave them. And whether they're good or bad, I already been aware of, people not everybody is going to agree with me. And that's okay, because we human beings, we don't always have to agree, but we always going to show respect. So I'm happy to entertain your comments. Leave them in the comment section or shoot me a message, and I'll be happy to get back with you. I'm not going to be able to get back. I'm going to get back with everybody eventually. Maybe not immediately. But yes, I do know people in Jersey with puppies, and my females, generally they have natural births. We try to keep them exercised and fit. Afeni had a natural birth. The only reason that we go for C-sections is in an emergency situation where we feel like the dog has more puppies that left in the stomach and she's not contracting them out, a C-section is always a last option. We never want to put the dogs under anesthesia unless it's absolutely necessary. And also, we don't want to over-medicate the dogs. It's just a risk. We would like to do things as naturally as possible. So that's our philosophy. The mixing. Now that's a good question. I think it's really unfortunate that people breed dogs for no reason at all. I think that every dog mating or breeding should have a goal in mind. People putting dogs together and they're crossing them with pit bulls in hopes of, I don't know, I don't see the reason why. I don't see a reason to do that. They're two different breeds. I've been to some shows with the bullies and the pit bulls. They're not as functional. They're not even really pit bulls, they're bullies. That's a common dog I see. I also see the band dogs. I'm not against people crossing dogs when you're doing it for a purpose, when you have a goal in mind. And if it's always to elevate or upgrade your breeding program some type of way, and you got homes for the puppies, or you got people interested in, you got partners and you got people that is mentoring or also to give their inputs, because it's very difficult to maintain that many dogs at once for yourself and be fair to the dogs at the same time. So the crossbreeding that's going on these days, I think I got mixed feelings on that. To each his own, though. That at the end of the day, I hate to see the dog suffer. All right, y'all. I really appreciate that. Anybody got any more questions? I'm happy to answer the questions. Yeah. And that's one of my reasons for like trying to. I know that in dog breeding, one of the asset is having a mentor, somebody that is able to say to you, no, don't do that, or this is how you do this. Explaining genetics. Genetics can be very complicated. People just crossing dogs just for the sake of crossing dogs with the idea of, if I put these two dogs together, I'm going to end up with a blend of or new creation, some type of freak, a mutant breed. And it just doesn't work like that. So if we have more information available, if people use the information that is available, then I think that at the end of the day, we all benefit with better dogs. We all benefit from the knowledge. I wish that I had a mentor. Well, I was lucky to have a mentor that was later in my career. When I first started, I had a lot to learn, a lot of things the hard way. And that's rough, because all you need is a little guidance. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. If y'all got questions or suggestions, let me know. The Boerboel man is signing off. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining, friends. Don't forget, 7 o'clock on Thursday. We might be switching that up to Tuesday. I don't know, but I'll let you know. Everybody stay blessed. For sure.